Good afternoon, Abraham.
It is.
I've been doing really good with manifestations in conjunction with synchronicities, and I want to share with you.
Manifestations are all about timing, and timing and synchronicity, that's the perfect combination
So it's one and
of words.
the same?
Yes,
okay.
it is.
I want to share some things with you, some specifics.
And we want to throw one more word in, and then we won't interrupt again until
Take your
you've
time.
spilled it. The other word is cooperative components. Cooperative components, timing, synchronicity, it's all the same.
And I do all your principles, Abraham, to the best of my ability. And I do the appreciation, like you say, instead of gratitude, the appreciation. And I do what's like an appreciation prayer every morning, and I goose it up, as you say, where I really get feeling behind it. And I'll just pick some random things, like how much I just love kangaroos in Australia. And then that day, I'll see pictures of kangaroos, like on cars. And like, I'll say how...
I have to tell you a kangaroo story, speaking of synchronicity. So Esther is in Australia in a carload of people, and someone in the car says, "So where's the kangaroos?" And the driver of the car says, "Kangaroos don't just go hopping down the street," but then one did.
Were you in Australia?
Yeah, then one did.
That's amazing. And like, for example, when you always said to cherish the miracles that are all abound. And for example, I love dragonflies. So I'll thank in the morning with my prayers on my knees with so much joy about dragonflies and how they've been on this earth as a species for 300 million years. And I said, you know, I love all the different colors. I'd love to see a blue one or a white one or purple. And then that day I'll see that exact color.
All right.
And wait till you hear this. I was in a supermarket and I was going to get some sneakers, and there was a lady coming out from a shop, right? And she said, "What is that? What is that?" A dragonfly right up to my nose. You can't miss it. My nose, it's here. And it flew right up to my nose. She said, "What is that?" I said, "It's dragonflies. They come see me because every morning I thank how much I love them and that they've been here 3 million years as a species." I mean, and I'll get to my question. But
before you do, can you hold your question for just a moment? Because we want to tell you something that you've given us the perfect opportunity to take thought to a place it has not been before.
Thank you.
And it's where we began today, but you've brought us full circle, and this is really a wonderful thing. Creation is about getting in the flow. And we began today by talking about the law of attraction and about the path of least resistance. So now think about thought paths. So think about how when you think in connection with your source energy, because you're in appreciation when you're doing it. So you've got that leverage. You're all tuned in, tapped in, turned on with this energy of source. So you have a powerful, powerful point of attraction. And you are thinking about the dragonfly or anything, the dragonfly. Think about what your thought is doing to carve out the path of least resistance. Can you see how that thought just creates the pathway that makes it not just logical, but absolute, that dragonfly or many would find their way into your experience because you've carved out the path? Did you hear us? Esther carved out a path to her wonderful driver putting the wrong fuel in the van. She carved out that path, not meaning to, not wanting to, but she was part of the process, and so was he. That's what your power of influence is. You are carving out paths all of the time. So you started with this really important position of manifestation. We want you to think in terms of every moment being manifestation. And in this manifesting moment, what paths are you carving out with your powerful thoughts? If you want dragonflies, think about them. You carve a path and they come to you. Doesn't matter what you want, carve the path. But when you carve the path of its absence, when you carve the path of its blockage, when you carve the path of it not coming, you've carved that path too. You get what you think about. You are path carvers. Stay there for a moment and feel that. Feel the importance of that. You create your own reality, and this is how. You wonder how you turn thoughts to things. That's how you do it. You turn thoughts to things by thinking the thoughts that carve the path, that they allow the things to move to you, to evolve through the path into your experience. That's how it works. That's how thoughts turn to things, by you carving out the path. So if you want to know why the things are in your experience, you carved a path. If you want to know why people behave to you the way they do, you carved a path. You want to know why you're disrespected? You carved the path. You want to know why you're respected? You carved the path. You want to know why funny things occur to you? You carved the path. You want to know why you feel bad? You blocked the path you carved. You asked for it, but now you're not letting it in. You see what we're getting at?
Exactly. For example, I was in the lobby last night because there was a lot of noise from the highway. The room was great. The staff's been great, but there was like a lot of motorcycles whizzing by, and they just like kind of interfered with my sleep. So I went down and asked real nicely if they have any suggestions. So they said, come up and put some towels near the door to block the light, and just use the extra pillows to muffle the noise. But when I was down there, I got in a conversation about the genetically engineered beakless Kentucky Fried Chickens. And what I said to the guy is, did you know years ago they used to call Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the reason they call it KFC now is because they're genetically beakless modified chickens. And he did not know that. But wait till you hear this about this manifestation. So since I couldn't sleep, I figured, all right, let's see what's on the TV. So I put on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and would you believe, I can't make this up, Abraham. Thank you. Will Smith, literally like 2 minutes into the show, is in a full-fledged chicken suit, and he's holding a bucket of chicken. I can't make this up. But leading up to my question, I could cite so many things. I'm doing them like rapid fire. But here's my question to you, and I'm looking for your infinite wisdom of that collective consciousness. Please. What it is I seem to be doing this all the time, this manifestation, synchronicity, one and the same on a micro level. When am I going to get those big nuggets like the Lamborghini and that love of my life inside and out? And when am I going to get the $1 million? In fact, if I could do it on a micro level, when is the macro level coming? That's all I want to ask. I'm doing everything you're telling me, too. Believe me, and I thank you.
When you're ready to let it in.
Yes. Okay.
It's easy to let the little stuff in.
Yeah.
Because the little stuff.
So what do I do differently to let in the big stuff? Since I'm doing it with the little stuff. I do it everywhere.
You feel differently about it. What you just said to us is on a micro level, I can let it in. How do I let the big stuff in?
And on a macro level.
So your expectation, it all has to do with your expectation.
Okay.
It's easy to dream a little dream. It's
so
hard.
Just goose it up more for the big stuff?
Well, the thing is, if you don't believe something and you goose it up, then you goose up your disbelief. So what you do is you make sure you're satisfied, and then you don't have to goose it up. Law of attraction gooses it up.
Do I just include those things in my morning thankful prayers?
You're not goosing anything
No?
up.
Okay.
Momentum is being gathered by the laws of the universe. You're not the gooser. You're not making anything happen. You're allowing it to happen. Step one, you set it in motion, and your inner being got all over it and is calling it to you. And so it's in understanding that you're not the engine, you're not the motivation, that's all set into motion by the laws of the universe and by source energy and by your own desire. Your work is to get out of the way. And it's easier for you to get out of the way of the little things than the big things.
Okay, so if I could do it with all these little things, how do I do it with the bigger things? Just so I can understand you, because I just want to do it with the bigger things. Well, you just got to
practice. Give us a subject of something big that you want, and let's do the satisfied, unsatisfied game till we work the bugs out of that. So give us a topic. Pick one.
A wonderful lady that's inside and out, beautiful inside and out.
All right, so...
To just enjoy life,
all right,
you know?
So focus there. Focus there, and tell us where that stands. In other words, how's that going?
I really don't give it any attention. I would just like that. I really don't give it
well,
much
if you
attention.
weren't giving it any attention, just the desire, as strong as it was, would have brought it about. So you're giving it plenty of opposing attention. So we're asking you, what are you doing other than noticing that it hasn't come yet?
Really nothing.
Well, then you can't find your way closer to what you want if you can't acknowledge where you are. These things are always true. What you feel and what manifests is always a vibrational match. So if you've been wanting something that's not manifesting, then you're offering a vibration that you don't know you're offering. You've got to figure that out and start offering a different vibration. So are you saying to us that you really don't think about that? We find that odd, that would be the first thing that you ask for.
Occasionally.
You're talking to infinite intelligence. We asked you, what do you want that you could clean up? And that's the first thing you brought forward, and yet you've never think about it. Well, pick something else then.
Okay, how about a brand new spanking Lamborghini?
Yeah. What color?
Blue. Caribbean blue.
Yeah? Yeah, did they make that?
I don't know. I know they do in Corvettes. I also want those.
Yeah, well,
too.
see, how much thought have you really given this thing? Have you
Not much.
Googled
So
it?
how do I
Have you
do
Googled it? Have you
What
looked
kind-
for
how do
it?
I
We
get
don't
it?
think you've been thinking that much about it. We think you just pulled it out of something right here.
Really?
You've got a theory that you've presented to us that you haven't put into practice. And your theory is big things are hard and little things are easy. So when we really ask you about it, the first two things that we've asked you that you've demonstrated to us, you've not given that much thought to.
Can I give you one more example, please, Abraham? Of a boom box. Out of the blue, for your CDs, of course, I wanted to go to Target and find one of those old CD boom boxes. And I figured this is a long shot. They're obsolete now with all these gadgets we have nowadays. So listen to this.
You have our undivided attention.
Thank you. I go to Target, and not only did they have one, they had one of two, but one of the two boxes was dinged up, and I was like the nice crisp box. So I get that, right? And I was like, I started thanking God, Jesus, Source, Mother Teresa. I started thanking everything in the universe that was positive.
Did you thank law of attraction?
Law of
Did you thank
attraction?
alignment?
Yeah, I thank out loud.
Did you thank satisfaction factor? Did you thank your point of attraction?
But
or were you
Source.
assigning it to other things over which have no control of you?
Oh, okay, because I tried to cover it all. That was good, positive. And I was saying it out loud in the aisle. So check this out. I go home, and I'm kind of like a softie. I love Hallmark movies. So there's this new movie out. I had DVR from this year, 2018, like a few months ago, called A Season of Love with Autumn Reeser. And I hadn't gotten around to it, just haven't had time. So I figured, I'll watch it during lunch today. Would you believe, I wrote it down, 3 minutes and 51 seconds into it, she goes to her childhood home and to help her mother with the restaurant that's not doing good. She goes in there and she couldn't believe it that there was this old CD boombox in the same spot when she was a teenager. I can't make this stuff up. I want to do it with the big stuff.
Well, see, what happened is...
And I'm making all the connections.
You carved out that path of least resistance with no resistance. You wanted a boombox for another reason, found a boombox, so there's no resistance. This is the point that we're wanting you to hear. With that little bit of conversation and experience, you carved out a pathway to a boombox. So much so that your inspiration as you move forward was to choose a particular movie that had within it. This is something that we really want you to know. Your inner being knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you're asking for. So your inner being knows where all those boombox connections are. And in an attitude of non-resistance, it is almost an instantaneously, you said 2 or 3 minutes.
And it was, yeah. That same day for lunch.
So we're asking you, do you understand carving a path? And do you understand carving a path comparison?
Can you explain the carving a path a little bit better?
A thought carves a path. Can you make the correlation between carving a path on a subject to which you have no resistance and carving a path on a subject that you have greater resistance?
So where do I have the resistance with the big stuff? That's what I'm trying to figure out so I can pinpoint it and get the resistance
Well, we
away.
think it's just the subject of believing that it's...
Okay. Expectation?
Expectation is everything, but it's the labeling it as a big thing, therefore a rarer thing, therefore a harder thing, therefore a less likely thing, therefore a more unreasonable thing, therefore a thing that is harder for me to do. That's the thought process that you have carved out, you and almost everybody else. You see, this is such an interesting thing, and we so enjoyed having this conversation with you because you're explaining to us the laws of the universe as we know them about some things that are working for you. Instead of using those things that are working as a catalyst to make you believe that more things will work, you're turning them on their side and using them as catalysts to be annoyed that big things aren't working. Why do the little things work and why don't the big things work? What you want to be saying is, if this works, then everything will work. And just like this, then something else will too. That's the piece. And the reason that you or anyone wouldn't do that is because you are enamored with reality. Everything's always changing, but sometimes you will only allow it to change to more of the same. So relative to the little things, you allow them to change. But big things, they're changing all the time, but to more of the same. Changing to absence, changing to not enough, and so forth. Really good conversation. You got it, and so did everyone.